retention. If you look at 76% and 68% responses, the expectation of a client is maximum service, minimal cost. 68% said increasing cost of executing assurance functions, audit functions, without corresponding increase in fees. Then there are, marketing challenges, competitive environment, client loyalty is maintaining reputation. So that's the first bit, right? Very common. I'm sure most of you will kind of resonate with this slide, but it's up to us to kind of, take it in our hands and say, how can we be different? Okay, so that's one aspect to note. Then what are the people issues that CA firms face? Again, this is a survey across 1,000 firms. I'm assuming that it's fairly there. You can always remove the extremities. But 71% said finding the right employees. 64% said higher expectations of salary. And almost half the crowd felt retaining talent, inadequate training and practical experience, lack of growth and progression. Again, people issues self-created to some extent. We need to have processes in place as a CA firm to ensure that we are addressing each one of these. So we will spend some time on this as well. Then what are the financial challenges and personal challenges which some of the firms have encountered? So almost half the crowd felt docile nature. We don't follow up for our fees. Our AR is completely mismanaged, inefficient billing processes, lack of good time management. Maybe sometimes there's an imbalance between knowledge and execution. And that has resulted to financial challenges. We have a lot of outstanding receivables in our books. The sundry debtors or accounts receivable are 180 days, 1 year, 2 year. We can't function in today's times with any of those processes. So we should kind of look at smarter ways using technology there. And one has to bill in time. We constantly in our own firm, we ensure that the day the work is completed, the invoice has to go. There are processes. It's written in our engagement letter that we, I have a right to bill on completion of service. For some it is progress services, but for most service lines, as we complete the service, the invoice has to go. If the invoice goes on time, friends, you will be able to collect on time. But if you send an invoice 1 week, 1 month, 3 months after your engagement, you've lost that much time. But that's again a clear issue as far as the financial side is concerned. Then, there was a question asked, very interesting question. What are the marketing, regulatory, and technology challenges that are faced by the firms? So one was unstandardized fee structure. I personally don't believe in that. I personally believe in one should be able to bill what you are worth, and we'll talk about it. Then inability to do marketing and promotions. You actually don't need any promotion for a professional service firm. If you do technical marketing, if you write enough, if you speak enough in forums, you will get recognized. Frequent changes in applicable standards and guidelines. I think the institute has to respond to changing times, and they are doing, I would say, a great job. I think we have to, as professionals, read. We have to, as professionals, apply things. Of course, government has moved very fast, as Nilesh Bhai mentioned. GST as a law, the Companies Act as a law. I think there are a lot of aspects there, a lot of changes. That's a real challenge, and we have to step up to it. We know procedures change, clarification, notification, cybersecurity. I think these are challenges that we have to take in our stride. And if you look at each one of these four, and while this was a survey, so whether it's a business generation challenge, client retention challenge, people challenges, financial personal challenge, or regulatory and marketing challenges, this was not that it wasn't there before, or that it's not going to continue in the future. Can we use these trends and make this as ingredients for our growth? So I've used the words future ready firm. What are the ingredients for growth? I think the first point is, can we think of making strategic choices? Right? Have we intentionally defined how are we distinctive in each of our service or focus area? What is the real differentiator? How many of us, friends, have a written business plan about the firm? What are we going to do in FY 2021? Do we have an annual plan? Do we discuss it? Friends, there's no better time than today to go back to the drawing board and go to a zero-based budgeting process and redefine what you want to do for the next 12 months. We are in very, very uncertain times, very different times. So can we choose practice areas that identify our firms? You can be a generalist, but yet focus on 1 or 2 areas which are your differentiators. And so let's say if your focus is audit and tax, do you have at least 2 people who are focusing on each on them? One is audit, one is tax specialist. You can't be doing everything. You can't be opening the batting. You can't be batting in the middle overs. You can't be batting towards a rare end. At some point, you have to define what your focus is. Yet there are all-rounders. You have a couple there once in a while. You have some great all-rounders that we have seen, but those are, few. Now, I'm not suggesting that you are not capable. Of course you are, but it will come at the cost of growth. If we want to be future ready, I think it's important to make a strategic choice here. All of us have to commit to say, I'm going to focus on this one large area, which will be 70, 80% of my time. 20, 30% of time, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z. There's only so much that you can do. Multitasking, whilst it sounds great, friends, it doesn't allow you to focus and grow. And I can tell you, I can give you an anecdotal, kind of simple kind of example there in the US. There are CPA firms, certified public accounting firms, that only focus on the dental profession. I know of two CPA firms in New Jersey. All their clients are dentists. That's it. They don't even work with doctors or medical, the other branches of the medicine. So no radiologists, no general professionals. All their clients are dentists. And these two firms are the topmost firms in the US as far as the billing rates are concerned. They're charging $2,000 an hour, and the dental practices are very happy to pay them because they're really giving high quality advice. So this is one extreme where one can have a strategic choice saying that I'm going to be only focusing on this one or two areas, and within this, I'm going to focus on this industry segment. I don't want to be a one size fits all. And just saying that I have great people, great culture, being trusted doesn't make you distinctive. Everyone says this. I think it's so important that how we convey what we are doing. Okay, it's, believe me, it's hard work, but all worth it. If we can bring out our differentiator, and for all the new practitioners who've joined the profession, you have a great start. You have an absolute clean slate to start with. Uh, yes, you can generalize. Yes, you can be doing everything. I'm not saying you can't, but believe me, it will come at the cost of growth. If we have to grow, the only way to grow is look at segmentation in your practices, work with like-minded firms. So if you are a tax focused firm, if largely your revenues are coming from tax, then make sure the audit is done by somebody else. Or within your partner group, just allocate the work. If you have multiple partners, it's easy. If you're a single proprietor or two partners, it's going to be difficult. Because remember, the world is also moving from compliance to advisory. Okay. So that brings me to being a trusted advisor. Now, if you know your client's business, you will be able to advise. I think it's so important. And if you see this tagline that I've put here, the practice is shifting, friends, from compliance to advisory worldwide. Okay. This is not just in India. Compliance, as you know, technology is going to make it very interesting, very relevant to kind of get compliances out of the way easily. Um, of course, we'll be required there as well, but we'll be required to have deeper conversations with clients. In some sense, now in today's time, we call it virtual coffee meetings. Can we actually, when we are meeting clients, have deeper, more meaningful conversations, understand what the client is saying, empathize with them, and then offer solutions that are well benchmarked? Often sometimes we just go ahead and give a solution and something off the box that may or may not be the most optimal solution. I think whilst one may want to say something, it's always good idea to kind of cross check, be very clear that there could be alternatives, there could be options. So giving a well researched, well benchmarked answer, and you will be winning the trust of your client. So friends, the transition from compliance practice to advisory, this is one of the important future ready trends that I would want you to note. Very, very critical to kind of be able to advise. That is where the value is. And therefore, I would never say accountants will ever become redundant. If we can look at the trusted advisory role, I'm a business advisor by profession. That's what I do in my firm. I don't get involved in audit and tax anymore because I understand the subject. But I've chosen to be working with the clients to help them think through their business ideas. You have to keep your independence, obviously. You can't do it for audit clients beyond a point. You can't. The law doesn't permit. But for non-audit clients, you can be a trusted advisor, and I'll be happy to get any questions on it. How do you think about advisory practice? Then, friends, reskilling. I think very, very critical again that we keep kind of upgrading ourselves. Again, you need to take out chunk of time. The fact that this webinar is almost, I can see, over 500 people. I think I'm glad that we're spending time on this. But um, give me 1 second. I think somewhere it stopped this sharing. Yeah. Now, the constant upgradation, friends, is the name of the game. Okay. Uh, would you like your doctor to provide you ineffective medicines? Then why should the client not expect the best accounting and tax advice, the best business advice? And And for that to happen, we have to invest time in retooling ourselves, reskilling ourselves. Okay, training, constant learning and development. Just, I'm sure some of you know, but just for everybody's first-hand knowledge, the MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Cambridge, has thrown open a lot of their programs free for the public for this whole month. The Harvard Business Review is giving 5 articles free for everybody to review. There are a lot of professional bodies, universities, uh, e-learning institutes, e-learning private companies who are giving a lot of their programs completely free. So this is a great month to kind of look at those, and then what you like, you can always subscribe, even if it's a little paid one, because that is where you are going to get international, overview of how things are happening across. And as a professional, I think when I look at the AICPA journal, the Journal of Accountancy, and when I look at our Indian Chartered Accountant Journal and the Bombay Chartered Accountant Society Journal, it gives me enough that I need to know for what is happening in accounting, tax, regulatory. But can I also look at from a client side, from a business side? If I want to be a trusted advisor, so this was just taking a trusted advisor forward, I need to constantly upgrade myself. Then I want to be the doctor who gives the best medicine, the most effective medicine. I don't want to be experimenting. I don't want to be giving less efficient advice, because if I can do that, okay, I am here for good. Nobody is going to replace me, and that's the level of confidence at which you enter a client meeting, because ultimately it is client experiences that will drive how we are going to grow. So have we done everything to elevate the client experience? Okay, it's not just about the deadline driven experience. You can't be focusing on September 30, November 30, July 31, all the deadlines of accounting and tax. Can we move beyond and say, for example, how many of us sign balance sheets in April and May, even for non-listed companies, for private companies? And that's a true benchmark. I remember when I was in tax and I interned with a larger firm, about 25, 30 years back, we had a benchmark then that clients who fill up things in April and May are your clients that you have to really learn from, because they are ready. The accounting firms are not. Even today, we have a few clients who are extremely kind of financial statement ready. Their systems and processes are in place, and if you can match up to what they want, I think it'll be a very fulfilling experience for all of us. Now, I know it's not easy in a very small firm concept. How do you do this? So I think the way to do it is we have to educate our clients. We have to give them the right attention. We have to use our processes and educate them to give us data on time. And if you can do that and finish in time, I think that's a great experience that a client will kind of derive from you. Also, when you're advising client, okay, you can't be saying that now I'm busy for the tax season or busy for the audit season, and therefore my team is not going to be available. It doesn't work. You need to have people who will meet the client's new and growing needs. So whilst you focus on experience, you need people to be available. And I think that is also very critical. It cannot be just that during my off season, I'm going to spend time with you. Okay. Moving on, very clear understanding and depth of what does the client need. Okay. How are we changing our client service and the approach to provide for more collaborative work and team approach? So if we can give proactive updates and solutions to our clients, proactive. Sometimes the client doesn't even know what the problem is. Can we define his problem and therefore define a solution? I think that is client service at its truest. We'll see some more examples as we move along. I would also want to say that when you're looking at future trends, cut the negativity. There's no room for people who continue to resist to change, clinging to what they have done. You need everybody to be aligned and onboarded. So if the team is aligned, your job is so much better. Whilst I know the Indian tradition, culture, we can't ask anybody to go, but I would say at some point, and this is the season in some sense because of the other challenges, the external environment, if people have to be off the bus, so be it. If people do not kind of, come back to what the firm needs, you have to give them enough time. You need to give performance improvement plans, but you have to at some point cut the negativity. You want positive people around. Not everybody is great at what they're doing. Not everybody is an A. But even if somebody is a B, and which is, if you look at ABC analysis of people, the bottom 10, 15% is C, the top 10% is A, and everybody in between is B. You, of course, need all the B players as well, because they are the guys who are going to execute for you. But if somebody is going from B to C, that's where you have a challenge. You need to then kind of phase them out into your client, into any other organization. Of course, you don't want anybody to be unemployed. but very, very critical friends that you cut the negativity, because they, one, unripe mango can create a challenge in the entire box. You don't want everybody in their team to have a attention challenge, a growth challenge, and then they cannot be aligned. Because to implement some of this, you need everybody to be really looking forward to their day-to-day jobs. Finally, of course, automation and technology. I think that we'll be discussing it again. There are a lot of processes that need to be automated. We need to develop a plan and stay on top of the game. I think if you can invest in cloud-based technologies, you will do yourself a lot better when you are in a pandemic situation. Now, I mentioned about bill what you are worth. I think the value billing concept, the time versus value, okay, this is very, very critical. In the survey also, I saw that clients don't want to pay on time. The clients are not paying us enough. I think this whole concept of bill what you are worth, it's a very, very critical concept. See, there will be competitive forces in the market, but as partners of professional service firms, okay, if we are giving value, if we are a trusted advisor, it's not just about the time that you're spending, it's the value delivered. And a true client is somebody who is going to pay you for the value that he has got. You have to transition the client. As Nilesh Bhai wonderfully explained, the ABC analysis of the client, you have to purge the C clients, where you're spending 60-70% of your time. Focus on the A and B clients, because that's where 80-90% of revenue is anyways coming in from. You don't want to spend too much time on the 10-20% kind of revenues, because that's going to take so much more time. So once you are now focused on the top 20% of your clients who are generating 80% of revenue, why don't we spend time in growing them and really convert your advisory into billing sessions? You have to charge for advice at the right time. Okay? You have to have retainer engagements. There are ways to convert even an audit and tax client into retainers. There are interesting ways of just being with them. And if you know their business, you can solve their challenges. Friends, there's no better management consultant than a chartered accountant, in my view, because we understand finances, we understand organizations, we understand tax, and we know the management. We have the eyes and ears. We have the eyes and ears of the management. They always look up to us for strategic advice. So therefore, we should be able to bill what we are worth and much, much more. And in the same breath, how are we thinking about our teams? Are we creating a more diverse set of leadership teams? Are we ensuring that we give them an opportunity, a level playing field? Are we looking at external leadership programs if you don't have internal programs? Because you need to have people beyond yourselves. Even if you're a proprietor, you need to have managers who will become your partners in the future. If you are a team of 2 partners or 4 partners, can we go to 6 or 8 or 10 with the right level of partnership? I think leadership grooming, very, very critical. Then I have a topic on alignment of incentives. Well, at the end of the day, when we are asking our team members and our partners to kind of think about retooling, offer better client experiences, develop leaders, look at new business models, then are we rewarding them for it? I think it's time to relook at the partner compensation models, align incentives and ownership, equity, to kind of reward leaders, partners who are adapting to change. We can't be clinging to status quo. And unless incentives are aligned, there's no real motivation to really change. And this is exactly paradoxical to the future readiness. You have to be paying people. So you move from entitlement to performance. Okay, I'm going to focus on this entitlement to performance when I move to that slide. But I just want to say that the future trend across the profession is aligning incentives to ensure that the right set of people are rewarded for what they are doing. Okay? There is place for others as well. There is place for people who have been in the firm for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, but they may not be able to keep a pace for whatever reason, in which case their incentives will have to get reorganized or re-engineered. That brings me to client service. In the interest of time, I'm going to be a little more speedier. Clients is something which all of us respect, all of us exist because of our clients. And I think it's important that we really imbibe this spirit, that it's the most important visitor. Mahatma Gandhi has given this sermon. He is not dependent on us, we are dependent on him, right? Are we truly believing in this statement? If yes, then I think a lot of the client sessions that we are going to discuss will be easy. But let me start with, do we have a clear understanding of who is our ideal client? And in that segment, can we purge those who are not ideal? Now, ideal client could be in terms of size, geography, industry, segment. We cannot sign a Reliance Industries Limited balance sheet just because we are a chartered accountant. We may not be equipped to. You need specialized skill sets, you need a team, you need a bandwidth. Any of the larger public sector banks, etc., some of us in the room have been auditors. It's because of their expertise and experience. Not everybody in a room can audit these larger establishments. Not everybody can do M&A tax. It's a specialized field. So we need to be defining basis the technical prowess that we have, where size, geography, industry, and segment. If you can put a definition and say, okay, geography, I'm here in South India. Industry, I will focus on pharma, I'll focus on healthcare, I'll focus on technology, I'll focus on these 5 industries. And a segment could be SME, could be mid-sized companies, startup companies, the startup ecosystem. Size again driven by what is my capability. I think we all need to define who is our ideal client, and in that context, we also need to define what is value for our client. How does the client perceive value? Compliance, tax planning, growth consulting, strategic decisions. What is it that the client wants from us? If you combine these two, who is our ideal client and what is value to the client, you should be able to be client centric. And friends, it's very, very important in today's world to be extremely client centric. Look at what Steve Jobs commented years back. You can get closer than ever to your customers. So close that you tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves. The iPhone, when it was invented, nobody knew that you can have a touchscreen like an iPhone. Samsung, etc., also did. Maybe who followed, I don't know. But the customer didn't think that it needed the customer didn't need a touchscreen. Similarly, being a trusted business advisor, can you give that focused attention? And for that, I believe that all of us need to think about that there's no second chance. When we are discussing with clients, when we are basically having client interactions, let's assume there's only one chance. If it's a new client, you will never see him again if you are not relevant. So it starts with, are we preparing to say the right things? When we have a client meeting, a possible meeting, somebody has connected us, some existing client or anybody has connected us that Mr. ABC wants your advice, let's have a meeting. Whether the meeting is in your office or ABC's office, are we ready to say the right things? When we converse, have we understood the industry well enough? Do we know the business well enough that knowledge will come out in the conversation? Can we contextualize what we are offering, our service offerings? Are we ready with the right questions? If you do this well, your brand building efforts, if you have been doing technical marketing, if you have been known in the market, this along with your track record of trust creation and the collaterals that you bring on the table will ensure that you have a successful outcome. Because friends, let's assume there is no second chance. There's only one chance. You have to get it right the first time. And we as in the firm, as a practice, we don't go out to meet any client unless we understand what the meeting is all about. We do our research. We are ready to talk the right things, because it's that first impression that you create that lasts a lifetime. Similarly, for existing clients, again, this is very, very relevant. Today, if there is changes in the budget, or there are changes in the accounting standards, there are changes in GST, changes in the income tax law, we need to be demonstrating our expertise and knowledge. Only then is the client going to give you respect. You can't expect that a millennial client today, and even the CFOs, they're always under pressure to do multiple things. When they are meeting the auditor or the tax advisor or a chartered accountant, they expect that they will learn something. And I have a kind of concept there of centricity. So clients will value knowledge and pay for value. And I put a mathematical equation here. Clients will pay for value, which is nothing but the fair market value of lack of knowledge at the level of client, or ability or time. Maybe the CFO knows everything, but he doesn't have the time. Maybe he doesn't know new things because it's something very new, or he doesn't have the ability, the bandwidth to kind of spend that time. So GST implementation studies, for example, people knew what is GST, but they didn't know it well enough. And that's where we were able to value billing. Today, technology implementation, whether it is in terms of adopting ERP packages on the cloud, transitioning from the traditional system to cloud-based system, we can play a very, very relevant role. And because that's knowledge, the clients will pay for value. So solution centricity allows you to take these bolder bets. And then when we say delivering value, value as a word is often pretty, it's always discussed, but how do you do it? So again, I go back, understand the business well, understand the challenges well, understand the client well. Even in delivering an audit or delivering even a tax planning engagement, you need to understand the business extremely well. Only then you'll appreciate where is the client coming from. Once that happens, you should be able to offer a full range of service, either yourself or through network and alliances, upsell complementary services, seek feedback, and that's how you exceed client expectations. Okay? Believe me, it's not just satisfaction, it's now moving to client delight. I think a satisfied client, a delighted client who sees that you've delivered value will refer you to more and more of his industry peers or his contacts, and that's how you build a practice. When Nilesh Bhai is running a 100-year-old firm, um, or XYZ, so many of you will be having a 30, 40, 50-year-old firm. It's because of what you've delivered over the number of years, right? Now, can you keep focusing on client delight? I think some way we have to move from client satisfaction to client delight, and that will give you a lot more kind of growth. In the same vein, I would say we have to learn to say no. Now, if you look at aspects, there are inquiries that you get from potential clients. If you're not specializing in that field, I would recommend don't take up the work. Take up the work only if you can deliver high quality, either yourself or through your alliances. So don't take up something which you don't specialize in. Because if you don't deliver well, it takes that one slip, that one error, or that one less than delightful client experience to lose a client. Um, Sometimes the client doesn't fit the profile of the firm. Association with the client will negatively impact firm's brand. Nilesh Bhai has already alluded to that. You need a very structured client acceptance process. Don't just say yes to every client that comes your way. I'm sure we all recognize that. You don't want to be caught up on the wrong side of the table, undergoing searches and inquiries for something which you are not responsible for, right? And therefore, KYC, just like a bank does a KYC, you have to do a KYC on the client, do a background check, find out if there is anything legal, anything criminal. All of that reference checks are very, very critical, right? And if it doesn't fit the profile of the firm, just say no. Sometimes client requests for event compliance, etc. That's a complete red flag. Any new client or existing client, I think we as torchbearers, the Prime Minister has given a clarion call. We have to make sure that they are in compliance and always 2 steps ahead and never behind. And if you also feel that the fee that the client is willing to pay is not commensurate with the efforts and time involved, just say no. You don't want to waste time with such clients. If you friends think of each of this, right? This whole no second chance concept, and I'll just pause here. The whole no second chance concept started from the fact that clients will pay for good value, but you have to be very, very contextual and relevant in that conversation. With that, friends, let's move on to people. Okay. And I'm going to put some questions here, and I'm then going to invite my colleague Urvesh to spend 5 minutes on some aspects of people. But I think these are some critical questions for the group. Do you have designations for staff? Do you have defined performance appraisal matrices, processes where you sit across, define the key responsibility areas, the measurement criteria, and discuss performance frequently? Are we communicating the firm's ethos and values? Are we reinforcing them? At the end of the day, or at the end of any defined period, how many of your team members feel that I work for an average organization with okay work, decent pay, versus I work for a great firm with strong values and opportunity to do awesome work? Even more important, how do you feel about it? I think that's very critical. I think it's a self introspection for each of these questions, friends. Are we creating the right environment to attract the best people in the firm, and then having attracted them, to retain them? Okay? So in some sense, if you think, right, I think talented individuals need to be promoted. Okay, it's you can't have your people remaining staff for all. You have to give them a 5 to 7 year plan to become a partner in the firm. Earlier it was 10, 12 years. That those days are gone. A smart chartered accountant will not stick around for too long if it doesn't see a progression. And you also need partners, whether you can promote individual talent internally in the firm or hire them laterally from outside. You need partners who can help you for growth, for scaling up, adding new verticals. We have amazing opportunity. Digital consulting is a brand new opportunity. Data analytics, FEMA, GST, transfer pricing, the evergreen areas. Sometimes you want to start in a new location. A lot of client demand in a city outside of your location. For succession planning, for adding visibility, you need people. You need smart people, and you need to kind of accelerate their progression by giving them more and more responsibilities. In some sense, if you can promote your existing team to partners, that's a benchmark of solidity. That's a benchmark of how you have grown. But if you're starting up, or if you're a proprietor, it's not a harm. It's not a bad idea to work with other firms and ideally think about consolidating what I started off with. Can we work together? So ultimately, you need partners. You need a wicket keeper. You need enough batsmen in the middle order and at the beginning of the innings. You need at the rear guard. You need good bowlers. You need everybody who is specialized in what they are doing, and that's where you need partner level talent. Ultimately, a cricket team has 11 people of the best, each one having his or own qualities. Similarly, in the CA firm, you need specialists for each service areas because the profession is demanding. Clients want specialist advice, and you can't do justice to each of the area. And therefore, I can't stress enough how important it is to promote talented people. From article trainees and associates going on to managers, senior managers, directors, and partners. I think for the deserving candidates, they have to see a fast track progression. And I'll pause with this slide, enabling a performance culture. I think very, very critical, friends, again, that from entitlement to performance, okay, worldwide, US, Australia, Canada, even a lot of firms now in the Middle East and Southeast Asia that we are talking to, they always look at measuring performance. I think this is, while it's a weak spot in a lot of firms, India is no exception. I think performance measurement and management is very, very critical. We need to have very good productive outcomes. So I don't know how many in this group are looking at measuring time, measuring output, measuring productivity. Today, when your folks are sitting at home, do you have processes in place to understand what's happening at home? How do you measure performance? And ultimately, what are the key performance measurements? So for example, in our firm, we have a process where everybody has goals, everybody has KRAs, everybody has roles which are defined of what are they going to do technically and functionally, what are they going to do non-technical, which is non-billable time. So there is a fair split, let's say a 70-30 split for managers. The 70% of their time has to be on billable work, 30% time can be on research, on things which are not billable to a client directly. And that's how you kind of give them goals. And then you measure them on how they've performed across each goals. So of course you have revenue and you have profitability as goals at the senior level, partner level example. But when it comes down to execution level, managers, etc., you need to give them very clear, defined, achievable, specific goals, smart goals as we call them, and then have a process in place that you can measure these goals. The best practice there is at least have a quarterly meeting, if not monthly, at least a quarterly meeting on when you have set up April to March goals, set down in June and July, how is the first quarter looking like? What happened? What can you do different in second quarter? Don't wait till the end of the year. That's like losing a whole year. And if you set up this process of quarterly reviews, I think you will get it. It takes some time to kind of define the measurement metrics. Maybe it could be a simple tool of a score of 0 to 100 for the goals, spread the 100 into 5 or 6 goals, and then you measure them on a point basis. But somewhere you need to start measuring now. And if you measure, friends, believe me, a lot of the challenges of growth, you will see that your team is ready to now kind of address them. Okay. So with that, let me take a pause and I'll invite my colleague Urvish to kind of take us through the next few slides on employees, on the whole concept of functional support functions, and then I will again come back for the technology session. Urvish, should I continue this slide or will you share your screen?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen, Vaibhav.
Sure, Urvish. Thank you.
Yeah. So Vaibhav, thanks very much for setting the context right. There are absolutely no two thoughts on how processes are important, how important it is to think through each of the facets of the organization. Now, when it comes to when it comes to managing the people and all the aspects which come along with the people strategy, one of the most important things in a firm is to ensure that the employees are well aligned to where the organization is headed. Now, alignment is not only in terms of technical terms, it's also concerns itself with the avenues of communication which employees are entitled to have within the firm. So it's often said that the happier employees are the most productive employees. And as organizations continue to grow further, it's very important for firms to realize that employees are humans first. They are humans before they are professionals, and how best can they be addressed, or how particularly those facets of an organization can be addressed. Now, when it comes to skill building or even inviting technical sessions, it's very important that every individual in the team has a training calendar in place. Now, what does that do? That again ensures alignment with the larger interest of the firm, and as well as at the same time, it ensures that the employee continually is able to grow himself professionally within the firm. Now, as we move ahead, I think this is something which even Nilesh Bhai mentioned earlier in his session, that the partner does everything in a small and medium-sized firm, right from finalizing accounts to authorizing petty cash vouchers, to interviewing candidates, to interviewing office boys, to even opening the office when the peon is on leave, to placing orders for computers, even to the extent designing the menu for working lunch. Now, if the partner is providing his productive time for the supposedly non-productive task, it's a big ask of the firm. Like when the topics are drained down to such trivial aspects, the partner may not be able to utilize his or her mental energy for the most productive purposes. So now, how should we particularly address this particular concerns? The
Urvish,
simplest, yeah.
Urvish, requests are coming that you can switch to PPT mode so that this just is visible properly. Yeah, thank
Perfect.
you. Thank you.
Yes, I've just done that. So now when it comes to segregation of functions, it's very important that again, there are processes in place. There are processes in place to address all this lacuna, and there are specialized responsibilities given to specialized people who can better handle these functions. So for example, the internal accounting of a firm can be delegated to a chief accountant. There can be an HR function established within an organization. There can be an IT head appointed within an organization, and there can be a management head to look after the admin issues. What these things particularly do is the responsibilities are segregated. There is more mental bandwidth available with the management to think about growth, and it's a no-brainer that there has to be some deliberate time focused within a firm to think about where the firm is going to grow and which areas is it going to target. Now, if the time is spent on, as I told, the trivial functions, on the not so important ones, maybe that can never ever happen. So again, like this is one of the most major challenges which small and medium-sized practitioners face: retention. How do we retain good talent? Like we may be able to attract good talent, but it's of little use if you're not able to retain the ones who feel can go all the way with us. So now, why will people want to continue with a firm? Or what are the particular aspects which people will feel that, okay, this is a good firm to be at, and this is where my personal and professional growth will happen. So again, these are some illustrative pointers that from a people perspective or from an employee perspective, what are the things which employees generally look at? First one is obviously that they must have an inherent feeling that they are growing within the firm. It's when the merits grow, when the skills grow, when even the non-technical skills grow, and when they feel that they are in the same boat as they are of the partners within the institution, that is when they will have an inherent feeling to stay within the firm. Appreciations, rewards, recognitions, I think all these are very small steps, but they ensure that the right talent is acknowledged within the firm, the right talent is retained within the firm, and even within the employees, a new set of maybe a young executive board is created inherently within the firm. So even when the work environment is friendly, when there is an atmosphere of trust, there is very little things which grow under the grapevine. That is when they are able to give their 100% best. And like being a millennial employee, I can tell this fact for sure that every employee is looking to work to the best of his or her ability. When he or she gets the right environment, when he or she gets the right incentives, and when he or she gets the right resources, I think success is only a byproduct of the cause and effect relationship. And when there is a dedicated switch of time even to concentrate on personal lives or personal interests or hobbies or outside of work activities, that is when you can able to maximize the 8 hours or the 10 hours that particular employee gives to the firm.
Urvish, with your permission, I'll just chip in here. Very important points. Again, coming from an old firm backdrop, Friends, generally as auditors, we always believe in finding mistakes. And same thing is true for our own firm also, in the sense, because we are experienced. When a junior comes to us, we find a lot of mistakes and all. We're always critical or critique. But I can share with you for last 10 years, whenever any good job has been done, just an email going to the particular team, maybe 4, 5 people, 6 people, the partners and the relevant people, is making a huge round of difference in the whole organization as a positivity. Second, we have started a concept of Sparkle and Star of the Month and the Sparkle of the Year. We ask partners to suggest the names of some people who had done something well. So there will be 5, 6, 7 people, and one person will be chosen as a Star of the Month. And then at the end of the year, there will be a Sparkle or vice versa. So these are small measures, but I can tell you it brings a huge difference in the organization, outside the positivity. Sorry for interrupting you.
No,
yeah, 1 second, Urvesh. Nilesh bhai, the similar thing we also started in our firm. We have a separate group of our entire team. We have WhatsApp teams for various vertical. So whenever there is a very good presentation completed at the client's place in audit committee meeting, what I do in capacity of a managing partner is just I send that appreciation message, and the kind of motivation that comes out for delivering their best happens very constructively. That is something, yes, I agree, and I'm happy that we are going in a good direction.
Yeah, I think this for others. I'll say again, analyzing introspectively, we used to always criticize, change it to a positive mode for the good assignment, and you'll find a huge difference in the organization.
Yeah, Urvesh, carry on. Urvesh, you are not audible.
Yeah. So right now, what we are planning to focus upon right now is, like, if attrition is a problem within your firm, what are the immediate 2 or 3 steps which you can take as a firm to minimize the impact of attrition or to minimize attrition in itself? Now, first, there has to be an effective mechanism for exit interviews, which are, very formally conducted. So let's say even when an article trainee has expressed a desire to join some another firm, it would be a very good idea to spend even 15-20 minutes with him or her to understand what his or her problems were within the firm. Maybe that can open avenues to something which is, unheard of in the past, or even which may skip the attention of the partners or directors or senior managers. A root cause analysis of attrition as to, like, what are the things within the firm which the employees are not finding to be productive enough or friendly enough, or even to an extent something which is disrupting their morale of working within the firm as well. So if the HR function undertakes the mandate of conducting effective exit interviews, that can throw open a lot of insights which firms should acknowledge and address ahead. Again, sometimes it's been felt that most employees who are at a decent level leave because they don't see growth opportunities with the firm, or they don't see where the firm is headed towards, or they might not even know what are the strategic interests of the firm. So again, when a mentoring program is set up, or when even a career path of the employees very formally articulated and conveyed to the employees, even that gives them a sense of belongingness and a sense of ownership within the system. That, okay, if I'm able to perform well, the firm already has a good career path laid out in front of me. So nothing is left to assumptions. And again, there's very little stressing upon the fact that communication which flows to the employees and even the article trainees is of paramount importance. And again, like, not every attrition is good, or not every attrition is bad. Even if some employees have some alternate interest, or they might want to undertake new things in their career or go to greener pastures, it's always a good thing to allow a graceful exit, because you never know when you will encounter that employee again in the future, or you never know when he or she can be helpful to the firm, or even the firm can be helpful to him or her. So it's always good to build bridges rather than building walls, even with those employees who decide to move on and move ahead in their lives. So graceful exits is again something which firms should deliberate and particularly acknowledge. So having said this, like, some of the lighter aspects which make work a pleasure, as I said before, that a normal employee or even an article trainee spends around 8 to 10 hours in the office, add to that 1 or 2 hours of commute time. Sometimes firms may not be able to acknowledge that employees giving 50 to 60% of his day for office commitments. And as I said before, like firms need to have a human approach and see the human behind the professional. So even when assignments are being plotted, or let's say we have some audits, even within the local limits, it's very important and it's very paramount that allocation of work is done in such a way that the commute time is reduced. And the more agile firms are, the more important it is to address this particular aspect. Even flexible working conditions, work from home, I think that's the reality which we are facing today. And since we all belong to the breed of accountants, I've always maintained this thought that our laptop is our office. We don't need to be surrounded by a lot of physical files, or as far as the communication is clear and lucid, I think even within a work from home environment, even team tasks can be undertaken very smoothly. So even just to share from a personal experience, like even our team is working from home like all other teams within the firm. The good thing is, like, everyone now exactly knows what he or she is supposed to do. There is tremendous amount of role clarity. They know the larger picture along with knowing what the micro details are. And they're taking ownership for whatever they are assigned or whatever they come up with. So when the working conditions are flexible enough, like we are seeing more productivity from our employees and our junior staff when it comes to delivering assignments even before time. And even small things like celebrating assignments, as Nilesh Bhai mentioned, as Daya mentioned, that celebrating assignments, celebrating birthdays, festivals, I think that what this particular things do are like they bridge the gap between an individual and the team. The more aligned the teams are, the more interactive teams are, it always makes for a good assignment. And sometimes it's very important that work is fun for people. Otherwise, you can't do the same things again and again. As the moment it stops being fun, the moment passion and enthusiasm seeps through the cracks, that is where assignments go for a toss. So again, team building, team training, and a lot of firms particularly focus on technical training sessions that, okay, my article trainees should know the basic sections of income tax. They must know what are the basic sections of GST, how to address those particular issues for clients. But again, what many firms miss out is soft skills training. So when a particular employee or even an article trainee is talking to a client, for that particular client, that employee is the firm. You might be an 80-year-old firm, you might be an 100-year-old firm. But for that particular client, that 7 minutes or that 10 minutes of interaction with the employee is how the firm is represented in front of him or her. So even soft skills training, like how to communicate better with clients, when should issues be escalated, what should you do if if English is not your first language, what steps should you undertake if the clients are rude to you, or they are not answering to your data requirements, or they're always postponing work, or they're blaming the blame game on the auditee or the auditor himself. So again, these are small things, but again, when we see the larger picture, these are the small 1-2% things that make all the difference which there is. And again, it's very important to be honest, transparent, and fair. That obviously firms want to reward good employees. They want to ensure that they are retained within the firm. And whenever there is a good interaction within all the layers within the hierarchical pyramid, things move pretty much fast. And there's always no dearth of productivity when it comes to honest and transparent communication. And again, like this is something which we often experience, or like the people who are there on the ground, the best suggestions ideally should come from them, because they know what the ground realities are. They know where the problem lies. They know what issues the clients are facing. So it's very important to have an innovation approach within the firm. So for example, if the management or all layers within a firm should be all ears to every suggestion which someone has to give. Because when suggestions come from the ground level, they are more practicable, they are more implementable, and at the same time, they are more impactful for the clients. So again, like this is something which everyone of us must try to do, that always the status quo should be challenged, that there is no one way to do a thing, there is no one right way. And if we are all ears, we can even streamline our processes better. And sometimes, we often view that, lazy people are lazy in one way or the other. But again, most good suggestions come from lazy people because they know how to achieve maximum within minimum time. So again, like an organization should be all open to all the suggestions which there are, and this is where which breeds innovations. Again, I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes
Urvish,
to.
can I interject?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Friends, what I wanted to, everything that Urvish said, I think the way to think is, and I've seen enough kind of comments on how do we implement as a small firm. Well, these are good talking points. So you have to start, okay? You have to start somewhere. You cannot have a point that this is not executable in today's COVID times. Friends, taking care of our people, and I started with that, is the key. Just like client centricity, people centricity, there is no better time than now to do people centricity. And this slide that you see, training initiatives, okay, when we have so many webinars available, can we organize them? Can we have at a partner level saying that here are the 20 webinars in the next 20 days, here is what who should attend, even that conveys a message that we care for our people. We in the firm have this whole concept where we invite our alumni to speak. We invite outside professionals to come and take sessions. That may not be possible for you at your individual firm level all the time, but that's where when you have a center of excellence, and ICAI Hyderabad Center of Excellence for South India, I think it's a fantastic platform. I have seen a number of events being planned in the last few days, and they keep sending me interesting invites. I think, friends, you have it with you. You have to make that effort to ensure that your team members and yourselves are spending that time. So, full credit to the Center of Excellence there. You need to have, and my last point on this is, have a structured training calendar. I can't emphasize that enough. Training doesn't happen that I see in the morning there's a webinar and I want to attend in the afternoon. It doesn't work like that. You have to have a very clear identification of what are the needs of my people. From those needs, can I transition to now saying that technical, functional, and non-technical, here are the specific programs that I've identified, and then ensure that on a quarterly basis, let's say 20, 30, 40 hours are allotted every quarter. Friends, we are talking about 2,000 hours. If I say 50 weeks into 8, we're talking about 2,000 hours. We can always take out 20, 30 hours every quarter to kind of go over specific training initiatives. I think that's where we can give a message that we care for our people. Let me turn back. Urvish, can you turn the screen back to me, please?
Sure.
So I'm going to now get into the last part of our discussion, and that is technology. And it's just one slide. Whilst I have several slides on it, you can see it when the slides are distributed to you. Friends, the future is here. I've seen a lot of questions on the question box on artificial intelligence, blockchain, what can I do? So I'm going to summarize in this one slide saying that business intelligence and data analytics is the future. Business, both of these were always there, but today it is required now more than ever. Now just think of it from a client perspective. Look at the e-commerce companies that are currently fighting for survival. They're fighting for delivery. They don't have delivery boys. The supply chain is disrupted. As and when it starts on 20th April or 3rd of May or whenever it's an essential product or service, they'll get back to kind of full scale delivery. That'll take some time. In that context, if we are advising on business side of it, if we just look at the data, we will realize that once the government allows you to function back normally, you want to now upstream. You want to now focus on the high value products, high margin products, yet do your social responsibility of giving all the products on time. So can we as professionals, undergo data analytics programs? There are amazing data analytics programs and business intelligence programs available. I'll circulate the right programs in a separate forum, and maybe the COE can forward it. But there are professional courses available to learn them and then to execute them. So it's all about really putting the data. So for example, when there's an end of season sale in January and in July for most of these e-commerce companies, people wait till December and people wait till June, end of December. They say January and July, jab wo sale aayega, that's the time I'm going to buy. But some of the e-commerce companies have disrupted that, and they are doing it almost every single day because they've seen data which says that once you give a discount, the consumer is going to buy. Very basic example of what is data analytics. They have got data analytics which says that discount is one way to kind of induce a purchase, and schemes, obviously every consumer, every shopper likes it. but their intelligence tells them that you can do it throughout the year and still make money at some point. We understand some of them still don't make money, but the smarter guys, look at DMart, look at Avenue Supermarket, the listed entity. They've been churning out data analytics, and they are chartered accountants. Incidentally, are giving them business intelligence looking at data. And friends, you have to look at AI with you. You have to look at the blockchain technology. You have to look at machine learning tools. Now, this is a session by itself, and I will encourage Daya and the team, Pankaj and the team to have a program on technology. I'm sure you have enough programs lined up. But as a chartered accountant, if I have to start a practice for this, I need to first have a consulting mindset. I need to move beyond compliance, and I need to see, am I equipped to really understand each of these technologies? And having equipped, so I can only, I'm not a technology guy, but I can tell you how to get organized. For example, cloud and connectivity. When we had this disruption, we were fortunate that we had cloud computing. We had DIN Cloud and Microsoft Azure as a platform where we could immediately kind of move from VPN to cloud. And that allowed us to be relevant in today's times. I saw some questions in the Q&A panel that, what are you guys doing when you are sitting at home? So for us, friends, the accounting packages, whether it's Tally or QuickBooks and in their package, the audit tools, the payroll software, they are all currently on the cloud, and we are able to be functional. As Urvesh said, with a laptop sitting at home, we are functional. So it's all about making sure that you are above. Okay, cloud and connectivity will get you there. You don't have to worry about a physical office. You should be able to use Autobots. Basically, essentially, will automate a lot of your tasks. You don't have to do invoicing yourself. The entire invoicing process can be completely automated. The entire payment mechanism can be completely automated using blockchain. AI will tell you a lot about how to think beyond the normal machining of a product or a service. Right? You can use intelligence in multiple ways, and you will keep getting that data to kind of use AI and ML into your day-to-day existence. To develop a consulting around it, it's a different proposition, but the accounting profession will see a disruption. So when we are talking about the future is already here. And with that, I think, how do we execute all of it? Now, whilst we want to all go back and kind of ensure that we have the right tools, I think it's also important to have a right mindset. I just wrote an article on quarantining your mindset more than quarantining yourself at home. Can you unleash with a free mind, look at opportunities around you, cultivate ideas? Innovation is nobody's baby. Every idea can come from anybody in the firm. Okay? Upgrading yourself and resulting in smart performance. I've used focus as an acronym. But clearly, if you're in a meditative state of mind, and when you come out of it with a fresh mind, you will see the opportunities are just completely around you. It's for you to kind of seize them and take it to the next level. And again, friends, the passion to win is a differentiator here. Okay, the vision has to be aligned. There's nothing better than transforming yourself. So from business partners, can we be advisors? Can we be change enablers? Can we kind of ensure that you're best in class in whatever we do? Okay, we empower our people, look at our partners and our internal processes and align the rewards there. Invest in technology, invest in training. I think these are the 4 or 5 things. If we can take them away and look at execution, I think we'll be a far better firm. With that, friends, I just wanted to express my gratitude to everybody who has thought about setting this up. Thank you very much. Appreciate all of you taking out time. We have overshot the time by 10 minutes, but I'm happy to take any questions at this point. Also, the organizers can send across questions and email IDs. We'll try and address them. And lastly, the slides will be distributed to you. On the book, the question that I got, the book was published by the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society. I'll have to check how many copies they have, but I'll try and see what is possible. At least we'll share a few copies with the COE, and you can then make it available. Happy to share those. But with that, friends, thank you very, very much. And I look forward to some questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vaibhav, and all of you, Nilesh bhai, Urvish and all. It was the compliments what we are getting in between were amazing. In fact, myself and many of us feel that we should have heard you 25 years before. Then the life should have been much different. But TK, let us try to implement it in our second innings. What we will do is that there are a lot of questions which are there in question answers. I had booked meeting up to 2 p.m. It's not a problem. So Uvish, you can just go to Q&A and you can start reading out the questions, and Nilesh bhai or Vaibhav, whoever they feel can answer it. I think you have to unmute.
Yeah, yes. So one of the questions which we have received is like, how should smaller firms think about those areas which are rather very niche? So like, let's say international taxation or even RERA practice. So how can small firms basically think of those areas, and how should client acquisition take place for this particular niches?
So I think the concept there has always been that if you are technically equipped, if you know the subject matter, you will get the work. Don't worry about chasing clients. The work will come to you. And the way to do it is, of course, make sure that you've understood the subject, try and practically implement it with a few existing clients, and then start writing about it, start speaking about it. See, to give an example, when transfer pricing came in 2001, nobody knew really transfer pricing. We all learned it. And within a few months, we started writing reports, looking at what is function analysis, risk analysis, asset analysis. We looked at economic study and say, here is how you benchmark. So there's always a first time. Okay, it's never that all of us knew everything. GST is a new thing. While we knew sales tax, service tax, it's an interesting law. It's kind of allows you to see the whole supply chain. So whether it's an individual practice, whether you're starting upfront at whichever level of practice maturity you are, you can always get into a specialist kind of topic. You have to upgrade yourself. You have to really invest the time and efforts, and then start practicing. And I think work will follow. I think that's how I would kind of look at it. Nilesh bhai, if you had any comment on it.
No, I think I fully agree
Sure.
with you. First of all, have subject expertise. If at all you don't have any clients in that area, maybe you may assist somebody for some time who's has say a lot of work in that, say whether it's international tax or any other area, and then maybe you may branch out on your own. As whatever Vaibhav said, speak, write, things will flow, and have patience. One thing is people, today's youngsters are very, very impatient. The moment they qualify, they want to be solely the source of the income tax, or maybe TPOs all of international tax. They have come a long way, a lot of years of toil. So be persistent in that particular area. Be persistent, and I think success will be there.
I think the general questions which are coming are centering around that only, Vaibhav. Most of them are in the rural areas, that is Mofussil areas, what we call, and they don't have that type of clients, or they don't get that size of firms, and all will be a constraint. So generally,
So can I? Yeah, no, I get that question, Pankajji. Do we have doctors in Mofussil areas? Do we have, lawyers, architects, interiors, XYZ in various? Why just Mofussil? Look at any city, any town, right? So in some sense, our services are basic services. Accounting and tax is a recession proof. Consulting and advisory is where we should focus on. Believe me, even in the smallest of towns, there are entrepreneurs. India is a land 85% survey still. We have 85% organizations, entrepreneur-led organizations, and even more. And within those, lot of them are family-owned businesses. Can't we be their sounding boards for business decisions, for strategic advice? And once you start getting there, accounting, tax, auditing will follow. I think one has to transition from this mindset. It doesn't matter where you are. Believe me, it just doesn't matter. You can be in the smallest of towns and still be extremely productive. Create, in fact, an ecosystem of entrepreneurs, of startups. Look at capital raise engagements. Look at corporate finance. There are ways to learn and ways to adapt, and I think it is easily possible. Yeah. Uh, Pankaj, your voice is off.
question which has come from a very senior chartered accountant, Percy Italia ji, who asked that, do you find that in India, we as a culture do not like large partnership? Is that the mindset?
Yes, I think I understand where that mindset is coming from. Uh, we have tried to grow very hard with like-minded firms, and it's difficult. I think there are some reasons about name, branding. We don't care about growth. It's about, we are not in the business of running a firm. We are a profession. And to some extent, I also wanted to earlier, there were questions on code of ethics and values. I think everything that I've said, maybe I missed out in my earlier commentary, and Nilesh Bhai has touched it already. Friends, everything we have to do has to be within the institute's ambit. Code of ethics, our regulations should be foremost. We cannot be we are not a for-profit listed company. We are a group of partners. We are professionals, and tenets of professionalism, tenets of ethics, values. I think all of this preface everything that we have discussed. So very, very important that we kind of have a measured growth. But having said that, it doesn't mean that we cannot ally. It doesn't mean we cannot network. It's okay not to have a larger partnership, but we can always have alliance firms in other parts of the country, other parts of the world. Be part of networks. I think somewhere, as you believe in growth, I think we'll have to start collaborating more. Even a Mukesh Ambani in 2005, 15 years back, in his annual general meetings, made a comment that Reliance Group is now ready for partnerships, and he got the best apparel companies, Marks and Spencer, etc., everything in a 50-50 partnership. So if a large conglomerate can think about partnerships and growth, why can't we as professional service firms, where we need partners for specialized skill sets, think about align? But believe me, there is no one right way to think. I think I would leave it to every individual year to give it a hard thought that how does one want to grow? To my mind, you need a cricket team of 11 people. That's how you can really score the 350 in the 50-over game. So you need every talent that you can get. Okay, I have, I have a question on the lockdown. Given the lockdown, there are many things that a firm is staring at. Collections are delayed, fixed costs continue, employment will be a challenge, clients may go for price reduction. While the cash is king, there will be more pressure on borrowing. How do you service in this environment? Very, very valid question. And that's where we said, if you think of the whole concept here, old invoices, there's no reason why the client shouldn't pay you. So you should get your liquidity. But sometimes survival itself is growth. Okay, you don't have to grow 20, 30%, 40% year on year. The fact that you can survive these muddy waters, we will put this behind us. Okay, it's a function of a few weeks or a few days, let's say a few months at best, right? Just keep doing what you're doing, stay the course. In fact, there's a great time to introspect and to pivot your business model, pivot your professional service or model, get your processes in place. Because anyways, you can't do much going to the client side or you can't go to the office. So why not, introspect, innovate, integrate with like-minded firms, and use this to the best of your capacity today. I think one shouldn't be sitting at home thinking helpless. Well, we are the privileged 350,000 people in this country who understand finances, understand tax, understand organizations much better than a lot of other people. Can't we use this time to good effect and think of our clients and the ecosystem to do better? In some sense, I would also spend 10-20% of your time giving back, whatever you can do for the society. I think there's no better time than now, because remember, Peter Drucker always said that we should be in a functioning society. Yes, you are doing a for-profit, your firm, but can we go back and give something back? And this is the best time that you have a lot of time on hand. Whatever you can do to make your ecosystem around you better, more safer, I think please do that. Nilesh bhai, did you have a point on this?
No, I think you have very well said. And in fact, I think in your presentation also you mentioned that in this trouble period, how do you, advise your clients to grow? Automatically, our growth will happen. The moment you start thinking from a client perspective,
sure.
Yeah. One shouldn't be helpless. One has to be positive.
Has extended that question with the pressure on cash. Technology is still a distant dream due to higher cost. How to deal with this situation? Ganesh talking about pressure on cash, then you can all imagine what we should do now.
Technology is not expensive, my friend, Mr. Ganesh. Believe you me, technology is not expensive. It's a question of how do you approach technology. Okay, I'm assuming you're using Office 365. You don't need any other tool. Just focus on that Office 365. Make sure that you use all the tools that come complementary with Office 365. Forget cloud computing, forget VPN, forget all of that for a minute. Your entire collaboration, Microsoft Teams is there free of cost for you. OneDrive on Microsoft allows you to store everything on the cloud. Okay? You have Office, Word, your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook gives you enough collaborative tools. So there's no additional cost. I think your existing package itself should be good. As you make progress, then you can think of cloud computing. Okay, cloud computing is an investment for sure, but it will augur well. We have some, our friend Amit Patel has identified a cloud computing technology which is 15,000 rupees for the whole year. So one can make a small investment and you can get a licensed cloud platform to host your files virtually, so that tomorrow if there's another situation like this where you can't access your files, you are not then stranded. But technology is not a distant dream. Technology was there, will be there, and will be much more pervasive going forward. It's going to impact the way we do everything. So it's not a choice, friends. It's not an option anymore. The sooner we realize it, the better it'll be. And when you talk about future readiness.
Yeah. In fact, one question from Chaitanya V. You mentioned that there is a shift from compliance to advisory. Does this not conflict with assurance, especially for a small firm?
So absolutely, you cannot do advisory, too much advisory for audit clients. I said for non-audit clients. See, you may not be doing statutory audits of listed companies all the time. You may not be doing statutory audits of private limited companies. Of course, when you do that, Section 144, 141, all of the sections, Companies Act will not allow you to do management services, banking services. But there are a lot of clients where you're not auditors. It's for those clients that you can become trusted business advisors. I am a strong votary of the fact that audit has to be completely independent. A lot of our audit problems will get solved when auditors do their job as auditors. You can't be getting fees for other services which are conflicting. You can do tax, you can do a bit of non-conflicting services, but somewhere in the profession, I think is headed there. I'm sure Nilesh Bhai and Daya and people in the council, people in the leadership would kind of allude to that the regulators are constantly thinking of it. A lot of countries have already gone to that, but stopping short of audits, one can still do advisory for non-audit clients and be the best trusted advisor for an entrepreneur.
Thank you. One question from Mohit Bang. Do you suggest pursuing any kind of specialization under business advisory? If yes, what are the options available?
So there are excellent management programs available. Okay, one can do it online. There are excellent books available. I think the basic that I would recommend is the original treatise on management by Peter Drucker. It's a 1955 publication. It's been rewritten every 5 years. The last one was 2012 or 14. If you go to Amazon and just say management and Drucker, you will get that book. That's a basic treatise. You start with that, and then you can pick up themes which are interesting. You can look at balanced scorecard for doing consulting engagements, for essentially helping people to drive growth. You can look at innovation. Again, there are a lot of theories. So pick up 2 or 3 topics. Don't get worried about the entire colossal. But if you look at the Income Tax Act, for example, that's a Bible. That's the basic of the law. If you pick up management, that book, that itself will tell you a lot, and then you can build on from there.
In fact, one question from Ramkrishnan Ramurthy, and there are connected questions about the cost. I'll just try to combine both. Can you elaborate on how we can move to cloud-based technology? And then some people ask, what are the costs involved with it? What are the precautions involved with it? How to go with data security and all?
So cloud technology, we have covered it in one of the slides. Essentially, you have to let's assume you have physical files, right? You have physical audit files. You have to now move to a technology driven audit. It's a transition. You have to pick up audit softwares that are available. Those softwares will be parked on the cloud for your audit working paper files, be it the permanent file, be it the current file, the recurring file, and all the procedures that you do are done through the software which is hosted on the cloud. So that's one way to think. For the tax practice, all the tax working papers, anyway, tax, it's again software driven, which are cloud-based softwares. You don't need physical softwares on your laptop. It can be all the Winmans of the world, the Census of the world, Taxmans of the world, they're all available with the cloud platform. Tally itself is available on the cloud. So if one thinks of it, today you don't need a hard drive on your computer. Your hard drive is sitting on the cloud. You can have a concept of virtual desktop. The moment you log on to your cloud, your whole desktop will come before you. Okay. Yes, it is a little expensive. These technologies don't come free. But like I said, I'm happy to share some proposals with the team, which some of our firms in Mumbai have kind of able to get from local suppliers. You'll be able to get the local vendors in Hyderabad and in South India at a much more competitive price as well. So happy to share those proposals. I think that investment will pay off in the mid to long run. Even if in the initial period you feel it's a little high, I think it will pay off. And if few firms can come together, you have a better bargaining position. Maybe at the COE one can, or maybe the institute, I'm sure allows has a lot of economies of scale there. There are a lot of programs already discounted which are available. So please work with the institute, the office bearers who are looking at this, and you will get technology at a much cheaper cost.
Yeah, thank you. I think one question to Nilesh ji also. The 80-20 ratio you explained, that is 80% of the client giving 20% of the revenue, and we want to eliminate them and focus on the rest 20%. How to deal with the clients we are serving for decades and come under the umbrella of that 80%?
I can just share my example of my firm's example, what we did. When we implemented this in 18 and 19, we were already 53-year-old. Currently, we are almost 83-year-old firm. So it was a very sensitive matter. It was all the clients were built brick by brick, each file by file, as we call. And initially, first convincing internally to my senior partners, including my dad and all, was a challenge. once we get for different reasons, we got to go ahead after 2-3 years of persistence. What we did was, within the firm, we had 2-3 BComs who were anyway handling the tax work of those smaller clients who used to go to for the representation to the department and all. We asked those employees of ours whether you want to start practice. We told the clients that we are, sort of coming out of this work. You can continue with our, employees who are doing this particular work, and we are available with you 24/7 for any, say complicated work which you have, say a family separation, say, some major transaction if the client is doing. So we give that, in the Indian situation, we cannot just say hi and bye, as I told you. We give them this thing. And actually, the way it has happened is, for all the critical work, they come back. 95% of the work went to our employees who started their own practice. 5% went with their relatives who had started practice and all over the period of time. So that is how we, it is very sensitive matter, but we have to handle it tactfully. And we told them that we are available 24/7 for any, problematic work. Anyway, your work has been handled by our colleagues who have been working with them. So they are there, and they also continue to be with us for our other balance, 20% client rated for the representation. So there was continuity for quite some time, where they had that comfort of, we were available to them, to the clients also, for any critical or any problematic issues. So that is how, this thing happened.
Yeah, thank you. In fact, after a lot of praises for the session, the question finally is coming on the 4th or 5th line. What are the various types of services companies globally are looking to outsource? And 2, we as a CA firm, how should we make ourselves ready for these opportunities? And question number 3, what is the roadmap for international assignments?
So the first question on the outsourcing, look, the economies of scale as a concept, the flat world, we had people like Nandan Nilekani, Thomas Friedman, a lot of people have written on it. So if as Indian chartered accountants and as CA firms, if we can provide, let's say to start with, accounting services, right? Look at QuickBooks as a software and go to any US CPA firm. There are tons of firms available online. And if you can make a value proposition to them saying that we can help you in accounting. Even Tally is good, but they prefer QuickBooks for a specific reason, because it works with the US environment better. I think that's the easiest way to start. Day-to-day accounting is very highly valued. People pay at least $500 or $700 a month for a basic books of accounts to be updated on a monthly basis. Then one can move to payroll. There's no reason why payroll cannot be outsourced. I'm sure sitting here, if we invest in technologies, we can complete payroll of a lot of countries. It needs a little basic knowledge of tax and a little knowledge of W-2s and pay slips. But even that, US firms are very willing to outsource. I can talk about US because that's an economy that I work with a lot. Then things like audit working papers. Today, friends, there are CPA firms in the US who are outsourcing audit working papers and processes within the audit to accounting firms and back offices in India. Technology consulting. A lot of technology firms are outsourcing technology processes to Indian firms. Wherever there's an accounting firm, if you have a technology inclination, you can look at that. Then there is a whole scheme of thing of US taxation as a topic, for example. Filing and preparing tax returns. There are firms in Hyderabad, the larger firms, who have got a whole centers of 10, 20,000 people. There are smaller firms who've also picked up, accounting, US tax as a product. And finally, friends, developing MIS reports for investors. Just one stray example of what is possible. Every investor, a venture capital fund, a private equity investor, they all need high quality MIS reports. And this is within India as well, not just internationally. Can we, as chartered accountants, if we are not auditors, can we help the finance function, the controller function, the CFO function, and their office to prepare high quality MIS where the investors can then take decisions? So let's say if I'm an investor, I want to know what are the cost per customer acquisition? What is the matrix which is helping drive growth? How are consumers behaving when there's a discount announced? In a time of lockdown, what are the inquiries? What are the people saying? So as a chartered accounting firm, we can do a great job at preparing MIS reports and investor reports and then presenting them to investors during their monthly, quarterly meetings in a board meeting or otherwise. I think these are some initial services. There are lots of books available on outsourcing. I think if you pick up one or two, whichever, I think Amazon will give you a lot. That's a good way to start. As far as the roadmap is concerned, it's a mindset. just look at them as clients, as any other client in Hyderabad or wherever you are practicing from. There could be somebody sitting in New York or in Texas or in California. It shouldn't matter to you. You should speak the right language. You have to invest in technology. You should be able to be, you have to be responsive. We have a 24-hour response rate in the firm, except the weekend. If an email comes on a Friday morning, by Friday evening or Saturday morning, we send a response out. At worst case, Monday. You can't be non-responsive. So I think communication, responsiveness, these are some tenets of holding on to a client when an opportunity comes. And finally, friends, international growth, I think, will come with alliances and networks. You will not be able to travel today everywhere you want to. So best way, or one of the good ways, and Daya, um, Nilesh ji, a lot of you all must be having maybe international networks that you're part of. I think it's an investment that will help you in the long term. If you are part of alliances and networks which are international, you will get international work. You will think better. You will have tools and resources and frameworks to kind of deliver what you do much better. And that's where international assignments will come to your table.
Just to add to what Vaibhav perfectly highlighted, I find in my experience the major challenge is our communication is very poor. Our responsiveness, the way I would say generally the Indian, I would say majority of the Indian ethos is we are not responsive, communicative. What the international, one key thing which they want is the moment an email comes, they want some response within 24 hours. That's the ethos of the international, this thing. You may not solve the exact problem. The problem is large, may takes a few days, but you write, respond to the mail. Yeah, we are looking into it. This will take, say, a week's time, and you deliver before that week's time. I think that is very well appreciated, but non-responsiveness is not acceptable, is one thing. And let me just warn you, currently the international networking is attracting some, slack from the institute perspective. So be careful. In my view, personally, there is no way but to network with the international firms. But yeah, currently there are some challenges from the institute perspective which is happening, which most of the network firms are happening. So be careful a little bit on that before you go whole hog on the international networking at this juncture.
Yeah, in
Till the
fact,
time the roadmap is clear.
I think thereby you have to also take it up, because the question, I think you and Nilesh bhai can take the next couple of questions where we have, where they have been talking about
one second. Pankaj bhai, one second. Pankaj bhai, one second. I just want to extend what Nilesh bhai has said. As Nilesh bhai has rightly said that there is a effect which is there today in the institute, but now the leadership at the institute is very seriously thinking that how we can actually give opportunity for the smaller and the medium-sized firms that they can get working with all these international bodies within the right legal framework. Again, being a member of that committee, I can just say is that we already started thinking forward, looking forward, where not only we think about restricting, why not we regulate and ensure that things are going in a direction, but that cannot be taken as a statement from a council member. But I'm just trying to share that the thought process are going towards that, and it is the right time that all of us start working towards it. You might not go and do certain things, but start moving forward. Let it be 0 day today, rather than on that day when you get an opportunity to make it. So it is something which is we need to look into. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So the question straight away is, can a platform for networking be provided by ICA on its portal for interested firms?
Okay. Nilesh bhai, can I answer, or you would like
please,
to?
Please. No, I can say earlier we were giving, for example, all the international conferences. The domestic networking platform has been part and parcel of the international conferences which we're having. We used to have a separate, Pankaj, you have been an organizer of the Hyderabad International Conference. So you're aware of a separate session for the domestic networking. As far as the international networking is concerned, as I told you, currently it is going through some, sort of rough start where Dayabai is now currently part of the networking committee, which will come out with some, clarity on the norms, how we can network. And that way you can add on this particular thing, whatever is the current situation.
Yeah, Pankaj bhai, as of now, we already have a networking guideline which is there. Though it requires a lot of tweaking because it is an old one. We need to do it, and we are working on it. Point number one. Point number two, I'm really happy to say that our current president Atul bhai has been very positive on this entire thinking process, where he said when we are doing advertisement, we only call it as when we do a seminar, right? In the seminar we have stalls. So why not we think about creating a advertisement of our own members? Make our advertising guidelines very effective, where in our own seminars which are being done at the national level, might be regional level, where a firm from Mumbai can come to Hyderabad and they put a stall saying that, look, we don't want anything, we don't want to advertise, we don't want to say anything. You want to come to our stall, kindly come to our stall, talk to us, understand what it is. If you are interested to work between us, why not we think about that thing? So this responsibility also is coming to me in some other form to really work on. Why not we think we don't want to advertise outside, but we can still advertise as among the peers to work together to develop that culture of growth, inclusive growth together. So that is one of the very new thought which was actually been discussed about.
Yeah, so thereby and Nilesh bhai, you can just correct me. It's again just out of head thought. Now we have these seminars and all. We have a lot of stalls. Now suppose we say enough of outside stalls, where I'll say I have only the chartered accountant stalls from all over India coming and putting a stall, and then say yes, we are open for networking. This is what we are looking at. This is what is our strength, where we can work together. Can we look at such scenarios then?
Yes, we have to think, because this is primarily, 1 second, Pankaj bhai.
You're audible.
Is it audible? Is it audible?
You're audible. You're audible.
Is it audible?
Yes.
Because my Bluetooth have actually gone.
No, it's okay.
See, this is where we are actually thinking to look back into our act and see how we can see. We cannot restrict our members' growth. We always cannot say this is restriction, this is restriction, this is restriction. If it is required, we need to go back and tweak our law also and think about. And where is the advertisement? Primarily, it is a peer-to-peer advertisement. I am telling that you come and work with me. I am not displaying my entire list of clients. I am not displaying all my achievements. It is a nice stall. Might be, instead of, at least that opportunity will be there for a member to come together and work. I think that is what I was telling with regards to the views of President.
Yeah, I hope suitable amendments are being made in the code of ethics also. Yes, sorry.
During my last term, I don't know, during my term or during Devraj Reddy's time, we have already got an in-principle council decision to liberalize on the advertising also. Only care which the council has told, of course, which we need to operationalize, is it should not be that advertising should be only for the deep pockets, the larger firms. How can we have a level playing field where the smaller and mid-sized firms also can have the same benefit of advertising which deep pockets can have? So an in-principle decision has been taken. Only how to operationalize is some thought has to get into it, where all will be a level playing field for the smaller firms or the larger firms as far as advertising is concerned, even to the outsiders. So just as a matter of information, but we need to operationalize that whole thing, how to do it.
Thank you. Vaibhav, you are there. Can we take questions, sir?
Yeah. No, I'm very much here.
Sorry. One question to Nilesh bhai only. Where again they're talking about the same thing. You are at the helm of affairs and you have seen ICAI from the top. And since you also have grown from a small firm, do you feel we really require an exchange or platform for SMPs and SMEs, which constitute majority of the world's business?
I didn't get you. What do you mean by exchange of platform? See, today the small and mid-sized firms all across the world are thriving and doing well. Yeah, even in the US, we have got sole proprietors, we have got small and mid firms, we have got large firms. So it's not that the small and mid-sized firms will be out of business. Absolutely no, they'll remain there, they'll thrive there. The issue is what Vaibhav has done so well in his presentation is we'll have to keep on improving and improvising, and a fantastic presentation on different facets, people front. Generally we keep on cribbing that nobody's staying with us. So what Vaibhav has pointed out is how do you make people stay with you? We keep on cribbing that this work from home, we don't have technology to work from home. So how to do that? So today's session has been, say, virtually for many of the people will be an eye opener. Okay, one is the complaint and okay, we are stuck in this situation. Second is how do we come out of this situation and how do we move forward? And at whatever level, it could be sole proprietor, could it be, the solutions will remain same. The bandwidth may change, the applicability may change from the client perspective, but the solution, the way forward will have to be the approach which has been so well, showcased by Vaibhav and Urvish.
Yeah. See, generally what is happening is there are Again, I don't know whether the time is sufficient for us or not. So generally, the questions are coming around how networking, what precautions you have to take, what are the ethics we need to take care of it and all. Can it happen in a very short time in the next 10 minutes, or I think you need a new session itself for the network?
I have a
Pankaj
quick,
bhai,
sorry. There, I had a quick input on this. Uh, the institute does not say that you don't meet people. The institute does not say that you don't exchange business cards when you meet people, right? I think one of the things that I would recommend, whenever we go back to physical seminars, for example, whenever we meet, I think as a mandatory thing, whether it's possible, everybody should meet everybody with a business card. Maybe have a two concentric circles, one moving clockwise, one moving anti-clockwise. So you meet at least 50% of the audience. Just meet them for 10, 20, 30 seconds, 1 minute, exchange a card, tell them what you are doing. If you are a group of 400 people, you would know 200 people in that half an hour. Keep half an hour for networking, a very easy tool. And then you, if you find somebody interesting, you can always write back and you can be in touch. You will have a lot of people from outside of your city, from other cities. That's how you build network branches. See, the institute is here to support growth. I don't think the institute will ever say don't grow. Of course, you have to play within the rules of the game. There are guidelines of networking. There are specific, disclosures, whether it's international network, domestic network. As long as you're within the guidelines and you follow the tenets of professional ethics, I don't think anybody can come and tell you that what you're doing you cannot do. I think you just follow it, and at the end of the day, again, some of the principles of techniques. Therefore, I spend a lot of time, friends, on being organized for growth. If you are technically updated and technically sound, people will find you. You won't have to worry. People will find you. It will take some time to build. Nothing happens overnight. Rome was not built overnight. Take your time. I am sure with our past president here, with Daya being there, with the Central Council members in this forum, and otherwise the regional council members, there'll be enough networking opportunities. How to do it? I think even virtual networking is possible. We can have specific sessions. I've written on networking a few times, and I can share that article, Daya, which you can share with people. There is nothing that you cannot do sitting at home, and there's so much that you can do when you are physically in a seminar or in a physical construct, and that's how you kind of grow with, and that's how firms can come together.
yeah,
Thank you.
Vaibhav, only thing which I can tell you is I think there's an opportunity which is coming in for people to really participate. And everyone, as I was saying, that everyone is carving, everyone is hungry about its growth, individual's growth. So this is a time where this kind of sessions will take them to the next level. Might be a new thought process will come into their understanding.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Vaibhav, I just checked the scoreboard. We have crossed 350. We already scored 350 runs in the allotted 50 overs, and we have crossed it.
You
Was
played for the
excellent.
next inning also, Pankaj
Yeah,
bhai. You
I
played for the
know
next inning also.
it has exceeded. So one or two things. I'll close it. Many people are asking for PPTs, Vaibhav. So can I share your PPT in the website as it is, or you want to make any amendments and then send it?
No, I'll share this PPT with you right away.
Yeah,
I don't think you have the current
once,
one. This is I did some edits in the night, so I'll just send the what I have
please.
shown.
So
I'll just
once
mail
the
it. Please share it.
PPT, would like to tell everyone that once the PPT is received, it would be there in the branch website hydici.org. You can download, and you can download it from there. And very soon we'll also be uploading the PPTs of Ramesh sir as well as Ranjit Agarwal sir. Nilesh bhai, from the time I became vice chairman, I was pressurizing there that एक program में नीलेश भाई होना मेरे बस. I don't know what you will do, but नीलेश भाई तो चाहिए. So thank you. Yeah, though it has not fulfilled my desire exactly, but thank you very, very much for being here. Thank you, sir. बहुत अच्छा लगा. Thank you very much. Vaibhav, one of the best presentation. The only regret is either I should have born 25 years later, or I should have heard it 25 years before. Vaibhav Nirvish, excellent job, excellent
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With
Thank you.
folded hands, I'm telling you, 3 ball में 3 sixes मार दिए हम लोग.
Thank you.
अच्छा scoring चल रहा है. I'm sure the programs organized by Daya Bhai will give us the same results. Thank you all. Thank you each and every
Pankaj,
attendant.
I want to chip in here. Let me place on record the fantastic organizing Pankaj had done for the international conference when I was the vice president and Devraj Reddy sir was the president. And it was just amazing. I think about 3,000 people in the convention center at Hyderabad. And I took that as a base. I shared with Daya yesterday. I took that as a base for the next international conference in Mumbai. Whatever efforts you had paid, the way it was planned out and executed, just amazing.
Thank you.
No, but at the end of the day, Nilesh bhai, Vaibhav, particularly Vaibhav and both of you rather, Vaibhav, thank you very much. I know I had to introduce you to Hyderabad long back, but I thought this was the right time. And that is how we have actually structured nurturing the future was our theme which we have taken. And that is how our sessions are going. And going forward, we have one session on technology, one session on forensic and tools and technology that can be used by the firms. So this is a thought process which we could make it, and Pankaj bhai has been very big support for me. Nilesh bhai, not only international conference, I think these are our assets of institute.
Absolutely.
Who have actually held our entire institute at the highest level of dignity. Thank you, Pankaj bhai, for always giving that love and affection and support, and rather more importantly, the confidence you have in me. You are elder to me, and it's amazing. And today's sessions are, I think, it's a dream come true. Rather, Nilesh bhai being there for all throughout, and Nilesh bhai, I'm telling you, it's like it's going to be one of the most memorable day. Special thanks to Vaibhav. Vaibhav, the moment I told Nilesh bhai that you are the speaker, he said, yes, there I am coming. So this is where the knowledge actually pulls knowledge, they say, right? So it is basically that kind of inner synergy we are able to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Daya.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Thank you
much.
very much.